Morning, folks. Phil Gallagher of ThrabenU here for another Legacy stream. I am now on spring break, so you can expect a handful of streams over the course of this week at non-regular times. This one's kind of more for the YouTube folks. This is roughly what you should expect for this week. So I'm going to be streaming twice today, and then one other stream each day during the weekday. That's the plan. There will be no daily death and taxes this week. That has been replaced with a cephalid breakfast stream. I was asked to do cephalid breakfast as a potential daily D&T deck list, but it wasn't quite D&T, so I compromised with saying, hey, I didn't get a daily death and taxes donation for this week. Let's just do it as an additional bonus stream for this week. And the donor agreed with that. So on the plate this week, we have Cephalid Breakfast, another mono black deck, a cat-based Nickfit deck. I talked yesterday for just a couple of minutes with Dukes on Twitch about doing a stream on Thursday night. That'll presumably be Maverick, but I haven't talked about the exact deck list yet or anything. And then Friday, we're going to be playing with Enchantress. So look forward to lots and lots and lots of Legacy content this week. Well, JD, happy to help and keep you entertained during these rough times. So today's deck list is not a donation deck list. It's a stream goal from quite a while back now. And we'll be playing some 4-color Loam. This is approximately what I consider to be a stock deck list as of right now. Yeah, no more Bile-Blight. F Bile-Blight. Like, yikes. That was a rough week of daily D&T. That might have been the worst week of daily D&T ever. Like, I'm sure it was amusing to watch my suffering, but playing those games was very draining. So I consider most of this list stock-ish. I don't think the numbers on Uro are 100% decided on in this deck list yet. I've definitely seen people going higher than 1 on Uro because the card's very powerful. And Teferi is probably the least common thing that's in the main deck. The other thing that changes a little bit right now is whether you're playing 0, 1, or 2 Green Suns. And, like, kind of what you choose to do with those. Like, so, like, of the things that are in this deck here, these are probably your flex slots as of right now, as far as the non-land spells go. In my opinion, this is pretty necessary, and if you're this heavily in blue, Leovold makes a lot of sense as a green sun target. So these are probably the 2 most flexible slots. Pretty happy with the blue Loam builds as of right now. I think the Punishing Fire builds have largely fallen out of favor and aren't as good as the blue-based builds. Sideboard is relatively stock here. Not super sure about this card. I think it's fine if you have acceleration, but I'm not overly sold that that's where I want to be in a sideboard card. And I also don't know that it's correct to not have access to Collector Oof in the 75, because that card is stupid. Like, I love, love, love that card. It's so powerful. And, like, not having access to the green Sunnable Null Rod seems kind of rough to me. Like, I get that this can come in a lot of cases just as, like, a 3/3 Vigilance, Menace Lifelink, and that's fine, even when, like, the graveyard portion isn't super relevant. And it may fill holes in the sideboard. But I would not be surprised if at multiple points throughout this league, I go, man, I wish I had Collector Oof. Otherwise, I like most of what's in the sideboard. The Jace is probably a little bit ambitious, and I don't know if necessary. But, like, when you're this heavy into blue, like, I can see going for the greed of trying to also get good old Jace into play. I haven't been super impressed seeing Jace on the other side of the table recently. Like, Jace just feels worse than Oko, probably 90% of the time or more. So I like this as a supplement to Oko, but like I wouldn't play a Jace instead of an Oko. You know, 3 is an acceptable number of Okos for this shell, I think. Otherwise, we have a fan favorite Ashiok Dream Render in the sideboard, which I'm a super, super big fan of. And it's probably way more castable than it looks in this deck because, like, we are a blue-black deck, in addition to all the other colors we have. So this is not necessarily going to be like a blue-blue card or a black-black card all the time. You have a little bit of flexibility there. I think that's all I have to say about the deck. Let's just jam some games. Legacy, 4-color Loam, Legacy League. Let's go. Yes, I think there are going to be a lot of Ikoria cards that end up being either playable or at least something that you can think about in fringe shells. I think we're going to end up with very few cards that end up being like absolutely insane and format defining. But we're going to end up with some good cards. So our opponent is probably playing like Lands, Depths, or something like an Oko Zenith deck. I think I'm going to be keeping this hand on the draw, but it's a little bit sketchy. All right. Sorry, chat. 1 second. I'm going to get some settings adjusted here. I switched a handful of things around for... Oh, is it just this that's off? Oh, it's that that's off. Okay. I switched a handful of things around when I streamed with Rich, and I'm in process of getting all of those things fixed. All right. We're going to go Mox Diamond into Chalice, and then, like, the order in which we do things here, it is kind of interesting. I'm going to go ahead and pitch the Bog. I don't think I want a comes into play tapped land right now. I'm glad you're liking Eternal Glory. I'm really proud of the work that we're doing, and I'm really happy about the relationship that we've built in just a couple of episodes. And I think the podcast, I think, will be spectacular. Well, this was unexpected. So we're probably playing against, like, Rip Helm Miracles. Eh? Scoring a Trop is fine if I have double Mox Diamond. Yeah, don't get used to this, but this week you're going to see a handful of daytime streams. I have a rough schedule for the week that I'll post again at some point. What? What? That does not seem correct to me. I don't know what's in their hand. Like, they may have something else that, like, they need me to kill these things, but... That definitely seems strange to me. Like, I get the 2-for-1 with the Blast Zone now. very happy about how that worked out. I do need to draw something other than lands at some point this game. Just throwing that part out there. A lot of sweet value-oriented cards in our deck. Scavengers, you are right on time, friend. Yeah, Reaple Cheap, I saw that. Congrats. So notably, Rip Energy Field does not prevent damage to Planeswalkers. Come on! Give me stuff that does stuff! I don't, yeah, I have this bear. I think this deck list is the appropriate level of greed. There are spells in this deck, right? Right? Loam tends to be very good against other Chalice decks. You have a very good density of removal for their threats, and like you have Oko and friends to like go and really bury them in cards. Okay, what do? I have 4 decays in this deck. So Decay and Teferi kind of answer the rip. I potentially need to answer this Oko first, though, before I answer the rip. Because the Oko just plussing and creating a food army will also just beat me as easily as Rip Energy Field will. What Planeswalkers do I have again in the main deck? You can't win via an ultimate, right? You just bounce stuff. Yeah, but I guess you bouncing stuff takes Energy Field off the table. Yeah. Okay. So I think I have to use this first Abrupt Decay on Oko. Narset finds another Oko. This one's probably not looking good for us at this point. I'm sure that's obvious, but... Misdirection. That is a real nuisance. I wonder how many cantrips our opponent actually has. Alright, Bob. Here are your hopes and dreams here. Yes, I'm excited about a number of Ikoria cards. I don't think we're going to get anything nearly as broken as we did in the last set. I haven't seen any cards that are going to define and vastly change Legacy or anything like that. But we're definitely getting new tools and new fringe playables as of right now. I'm trying not to talk too much about it because our next episode of Eternal Glory will be about Ikoria in all likelihood. So I'm going to save a lot of my at-length discussion for that. Alright. They do have some cantrips. Come on, deck! Yeah, whatever gave us Breach. Ubi031, thank you very much for following. Pretty sure Breach was the most recent set, but I, don't keep too careful track of that sort of thing. Alright. Deck, you have failed me. This is all on you. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 lands. Well, counting Mox Diamond as mana sources. Just yikes. It's not even good right now. Ugh. I'm gonna go ahead and throw in the towel here. I'm not technically dead, but I'm probably not coming back from this at this point. The TNN, but worse, might see play in a Chalice Ancient Tomb shell, not in a Death and Taxes shell. Alright, Planeswalkers seem good against this pile, so I'll bring in those 3 cards for sure. My graveyard-based stuff is going to be relatively bad. Actually, maybe let's do this backwards from normal. So, I don't want Loams, I don't want Ooze, and I probably want to trim but not cut Knights. Savine's Reclamation is probably good enough that I'll keep it because of the value it is, but I have 8 cards here that care about graveyards a decent amount. So I'll play these 3 cards. These are slam dunks. Rex Sage is a slam dunk to stop Rip Energy Field. So that would be Loam, Loam, Ooze, and 1 Knight, keeping all of my mana sources. From there it gets a little bit trickier, because Thalia will clunk up my ability to cast, like, Oko, Large Green Suns, Ashiok Jace. But might trip up my opponent more than me. Yeah, an upgrade to the Loam Relic Order would be pretty darn cool. How does the card read? Yeah, from here I don't know about these 4 cards. Like, they're gonna have 4 rips. Like, even though it's good, maybe I can't afford to play Savine's Reclamation. And, like, maybe let's play this dog or one Thalia. Yeah, Questing Beast would be hilarious. This hand is fine. I will keep this. We're just playing tapped Tranquil Thicket on turn 1, and then carving Chalice into Leovold. That is fine by me. As a blanket statement, Tabernacle comes in for decks that need multiple creatures on the board, or things that try to go wide of you. So, for example, against like Blue-Red Delver with Young Pyromancers, Tabernacle's very good against decks like Death and Taxes and Maverick. They like dump a bunch of creatures onto the board. It's quite good. It also has utility against some combo decks. So if you're an Empty the Warrens based deck, for example, Tabernacle is a tutorable out to just Empty the Warrens. That's interesting. I don't have white mana yet, so I probably do want to Mox Diamond. Slightly awkward in the face of something like a Teferi, though. Hey, welcome. Tabernacle has seen play in the sideboard of this deck before. Or sorry, in the main deck of this deck previously. But it's definitely not necessary. Okay, that's fine. We Abrupt Decay that. I'm hoping to draw a land so I can Decay and Bob. Wish granted. Misdirect to my Chalice. Yeah, the double stream won't necessarily be a common thing, but I'm on spring break, and I'm looking to get the donation queue a little bit closer to caught up. It's a shame we lost the Leovold already. This can get Rex Sage if I wanted to. I can just use my turn, tap out for this, take out the library, and then save the uncounterable Decay for a little bit later. I think I like that. This also puts a body on the board that I'm comfortable attacking with. I don't think I just want to like get the Uro here off this Green Sun because of the fear of Rest in Peace coming and just like ruining my value. Oh no, I'm good. It's just gold. I was not super expecting Mentor out of this, but I'm super glad I have this Decay now. I also need to bring in Plague Engineer for future games, if we go there. One, two, one, two, three. Oh, and since I haven't said this today, if you are a sub and you haven't yet gotten into the Discord channel, feel free to type !Discord to get all the details that you need there. There's 5 cards in graveyard. This will be 6 cards in graveyard. Activating Night will put a 7th card into graveyard. So I can Cabal Pit the Icefang Coatl away this turn, attack with Dark Confidant. And that works out if they don't have a second Icefang Coatl. Is there any other utility land that I actively want? I can just play around second Icefang by not attacking this turn. We should have basic swamp, I think. Yeah, we do. I think I'm just going to slow my roll this turn. It's possible playing the Blast Zone is more correct there. In fact, I think it was a misplay to not play the Blast Zone. That'll get a response from me. I don't want to draw this Dryad Arbor at any point this game, I don't think. I'm going to just send that away. So now that I have this Cabal Pit, I legitimately don't know what they vote for. Ooh, they vote for Chalice. Okay. I am in. Alright, so the question is now, do I attack into Icefang Coatl? I think since I have another Knight, the answer is yes. Send in the troops. And now I get an interesting decision of, do I play out the second Knight? Like, my opponent could have Terminus, and playing into Terminus here is super loose when I'm this far ahead. So I think I'm just going to Mox Diamond, discard Forest, play out Blast Zone, and pass the turn. There's a greater chance that my opponent is not just dead next turn, but but I just don't lose to a random sweeper. I don't think I ever want this blast zone on 1. Let's put a charge counter on this now to hedge in various directions. Alright, let's fetch to make it lethal. Okay, so now that we know that our opponent has Monastery Mentors, I want these Plague Engineers. So let's take one Thalia out. We were pretty unsure about that card in the first place. I don't know. Their deck list is not a stock deck list, so it's hard to tell. I don't know how good Chalice is against my opponent, actually. Like, we've had Chalice in play for a good portion of both games, but our opponent appears to have a pretty good density of, like, sorry, a pretty good variable mana cost. So I don't know exactly how powerful this card is. Like, I know they have Astrolabes, I know they have Brainstorms, and presumably there's, like, Swords to Plowshares in there, too. Lily Last Hope is also kind of weak. Lynn Chalice, I disagree. So, like, the +1 gets rid of Ice Fang Coatls, which is kind of a big deal. The minus is less good against Rip, obviously. But the ultimate builds up an army of zombies so that I can win as soon as I can remove an energy field. So, like, I think it's fine. I'm going to trim one Chalice here. I just boarded out a Thalia. I think Thalia is kind of medium. Yep. Turn 1, library, let's go. No fear. What a draw. So there's a world where I'm supposed to fetch Swamp on turn 1, but if Mox Diamond doesn't resolve for some weird reason, that's super awkward. The Sylvan Library can be super awkward against Narset, which I know my opponent has. Ooh, okay, so this is going back. And I think I'll put back the Knight as well. I want to fetch. I think I am going to get the basics. Like, I want to play around a back to basics this game. I have the ability to for basically free. And let's see if we can keep our opponent from fetching. I know it's weird to play Ashiok over Oko there. Like, Oko is obviously the better planeswalker. But if our opponent doesn't have a third natural land, they can't mentor, they can't Oko. There's so many things that they can't do. I just got rid of you, Maze of Ith. Like, I appreciate it and all, but... Alright, so what am I doing this turn? I'm Abrupt Decaying Oko this turn. That's what I'm doing. I'm not going to play around the scenario where they have a second Oko, I don't think. I'm going to think about it. So, like, I cannot minus this Ashiok and play, and, like, have the Ashiok survive second natural Oko. And, like, maybe I should do that. I did think about it, man. I just didn't talk about it. So I'm going to continue to minus the Ashiok here. There are worlds where my opponent has... All right. Super frustrating that we played towards an Ashiok line. And our opponent had all these natural lands. I'm going to take 4 and keep the engineer here. And then just put this on back. Oh, I messed this turn up. It's not supposed to play that wasteland. I'm supposed to take the Maze of Ith so I can Maze of Ith of this Helm of Obedience. Yeah, it was a mistake. Yep. It was just kind of one of those things. I evaluated the card when it was on top of the library, and it's like, oh, Maze of Ith does nothing here, and then, you know, I created a creature for them. Alright, so opponent gets to clear their cards, fix their situation a little bit. I'm not too worried unless they do something like Oko here. This is pretty good. This is probably worth taking 4 to like put the maze into play and take Bob. Bob plus library is super, super sweet. So where's the Plowshare's Bob? All right, not a lot I can do about that. Counterbalance, sure. That seems very ambitious against Loam. Knight's not great. Chalice is okay. Thicket is fine. I'm gonna put the Knight back, put the Chalice back. Cycle the Tranquil Thicket to just get deeper. Opponent has a decent number of 2s, so I'm trying to set this up before they have the ability to muck with it via manipulation. Alright, they have an Astrolabe on top of the library. They'll end up fetching that away. Great. So that's just them fetching off the Astrolabe. It's fetching away the Astrolabe, excuse me. Your Meddling Mage resolves. Alright, Abrupt Decay seems real good there. No, we always play leagues. I guess technically I was probably supposed to see if my spell resolved before making this attack. We'll take that decay even if we're not going to use it yet. Yeah, you can get in there too, I guess. I don't really care. Like that can trade off, and I don't mind. um, Knight. I know I'm casting this into a counterbalance when I have active Abrupt Decay. That's fine. Like, I'm just keeping the Abrupt Decay to break up their combo if they happen to assemble it, because that's one of their few outs in the next turn cycle. And, like, Knight is a 2-2 right now. Yeah, I guess that's true. They have enough mana where if they rip the Knight, or sorry, if they rip the Helm, they can play Helm and activate it. Maybe that was an error, and I should have just held up the Decay. So I can Abrupt Decay, Mentor, crash in for not quite lethal. I can also just animate my Mox Diamond in this turn. So Decay, Mentor, animate Mox Diamond, crash in. That's probably pretty good. I'm not going to think about it too much because my clock is low. So this attacks, this attacks, this attacks. That's not lethal in. I might be throwing away the Knight by not attacking. So I attack, they chump 1, takes 6. Otherwise I attack, it forces 2 blocks. I have a maze. Yes, this is 6 going in. I'll just maze that. So now I know that their top card is Teferi. So I want them to draw that. Could have wastelanded them. But there are worlds where like I want to fetch up the Blast Zone instead, if that's not already gone. Okay, you return Helm to your hand and are facing lethal. Like you recast Helm, but you don't have the mana to activate it? Yeah. Alright, I definitely made some mistakes that match. Could have played that one a little bit tighter. I still won. We were pretty far ahead for most of that game, but things could have gone wrong. Oh yeah, 100% agreed. Like, and that's gonna happen with any deck, but it was a little absurd. Yeah, that makes sense. I made a couple of small errors over the course of that game. But it was a really good game. There wasn't much I could do in game one. I flooded out real bad. There was something that looked really weird to me, though. There was at one point where like I had a blast zone in play, and you played a Sylvan Library into a board that already had Rest in Peace when I could tick up the counters to 2. That seemed super sketchy to me. I don't remember if you remember that spot. I don't know if you remember that spot, but that seemed really weird to me. All right, this Bob lived against Basic Mountain. I like that. So the ooze is in my hand, right? So green sun on X equals 2 doesn't do much. So next turn, this is a real card. This needs to get me a basic forest or swamp this turn before I get Blood Mooned. And Step Bolt would be interesting. I'm going to behave as if I am playing against Red Prison. I'm going to behave as if I'm not playing against Burn. So I'm going to leave up Wasteland so that I have the ability to Wasteland in response to, like, Ancient Tomb, Blood Moon. Hello, Dryad Arbor. Welcome to the party. I'm glad you're here. That's a lie. There's a world where I think about getting Uro there, since Knight is a 4/4, and Knight being a 4/4 lines up super awkwardly with Ancient Tomb into Chandra. But if they Ancient Tomb into Chandra, I get to kill the Chandra, so like that's not all that bad for me. It's like I play this other deck a lot. It's weird, right? That doesn't actually work, does it? Unfortunate. So we blow that up. Oh yeah, the incidental value in that last match was absurd. So by growing the Scavenging Ooze on my turn, I play around future Stomps and Fiery Confluence. Ah, you have Keranos in your deck. Now you're talking my language. Card sweet. That is not the best for me. So, like, we get to kill this Chandra. So, like, that's a thing. But our opponent is going to get a chance to pull ahead on board. So we've made 1-for-1 trades with the Planeswalkers. And that's acceptable. But, like, the ability to not play this Leovold on curve was rough because we missed out on drawing a card. Please don't have a third. Technically, that's not a third. Okay. At least I still get to Leovold now. So I have green, black. I need blue. Don't really need another black for anything. I don't super need a ton of green either. I have green, green, green already. I guess I'll take Underground Sea. So my biggest problem with the current board is, like, Bone Crusher Giant threatens to be a blocker, and then Karn threatens to just end the game via Mycosynth Lattice relatively quickly. Ethelon, thank you very much for following, as well as Chichero Man. Yeah, this game's probably pretty close to over. Didn't have the ability to get Swamp with Verdant Catacombs because I needed the blue for Leovold. And then I'm going to lose this forest next turn. Yeah, I am dead here. I'm going to play it out for a turn or two. Because if for some reason my opponent doesn't actually blow up the forest, then I have outs. But if they blow up this forest this turn, I'm screwed. They have figured it out. Yes, I will use this ability. Alright, now I'm going to go ahead and concede here. I'm not really going to get to cast spells for the rest of the game. Like, Mox Diamond is shut off by Karn. Alright. So what do we want against Red Prism? Rex Sage is good. Tabernacle is probably fine to have access to for Goblin reasons. Same with Plague Engineer. Lily's okay. Jace is actively good. Source of Plowshares is probably fine because we're going to be boarding out our chalices. Good games, Casey. Have a great rest of the day. Honestly, I might even just play the dog. So Connor recommends what? 2 Plow, 2 Engineer, Charm, that's not on this list. Hound, Knackle, Sage. Okay, so I'm on about the same page. They're like, I'm taking out Chalice, taking out Bog. Yeah, I would have done that. Minus Maze, minus 2 Loam. Yeah, I don't really see myself loaming back, and Maze isn't the best against a bunch of goblins. Yeah, I think I agree with all that. I'm going to make one more pass over the list, but that sounds good to me. So this is a one-lander that goes Mox Diamond into Dryad Arbor on turn 1. And then has turn 2 Bob or Library. This is a little risky. Like a stomp on the Dryad Arbor is devastating. A Blood Moon is pretty bad. I'm going to go ahead and ship this one and try to find something a little more stable. This is not it. Good God, this hand is awkward. It's fine against a Moon Effect. So I keep 5 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. No, I probably don't get to Mox. Which means I can't decay through Moon if I don't Mox. Maybe since I can Plague Engineer on Goblin, I can pitch Swords to Plowshares and then afford to play around Blood Moon this game. Yeah, that's probably correct. I'm aware that my opponent has outs to Plague Engineer. But I'm more scared of Blood Moon. Right, there's 2 to 3 stomps in their deck, but probably 6 to 8 Moon effects. I'd rather play around the Moon effects. I need to Mox Diamond on 1 to play around Chalice on 0. Black, blue, green, green, white. I'm just not going to take the point of life here. I think I'm okay with casting most of my spells via Bayou. Teferi Time Raveler would be one that I couldn't, though. No, I will. I will pitch the Bayou. Yes. Yes. That is exactly what I need to get myself out of the current hole that I'm in. Oh, great. We'll just lose to that. So that doesn't get hit by Abrupt Decay. I'm just going to like lose to Karn and Lattice and Liquid Metal Coating. Do I have to play towards them not having another land and wasteland them here? I just hope that they can't get Coating into play next turn. So if they get Liquid Metal Coating, I can't really ever resolve this Jace. If they get Liquid Metal Coating, I can't play towards Teferi bounce very well either. Let's play towards getting a little bit lucky here. Alright, that's the loss. I get exactly this turn to get out of it. So the problem is I have this like Dryad Arbor on top of my library. And I would really like to fetch it away, but I probably can't. Yep. Alright. That's not the worst. Probably just need to play this to get another land into play. I don't want this. I'm going to pay 4 life for the rest of these. So play Dryad Arbor. I pass turn. Then I fetch and upkeep. Need to get Underground Sea here to play towards Jace. Decay the Coding. I don't know, why did I do that upkeep? That was just dumb. I should have just done that on my turn. Now I lose another land. Alright, error on my end. I'm going to go ahead and scoop this one up here. I'm just going to move past that mistake. That mistake was pretty bad. Alright, my forest was ported. That's why I didn't do it. Okay. I was going to say, I don't think I would have missed something that easy. Blech. That is normally a much more interesting matchup than what we saw there. I'm just kind of for the record. There's normally more play back and forth there. Dryad Arbor has Summoning Sickness. Okay. I need to think a few turns ahead here. Cabal Pit can give me mana for Dark Confidant. I need to work towards green and white for Knight of the Reliquary. And if I cycle this Tranquil Thicket on turn 1, I don't actually have on-curve access to green-white guaranteed. Maybe that's fine. Because I want to get Bob into play anyway. But there's a real argument for just playing Tranquil Thicket tapped on turn 1. So I can go Tranquil Thicket into Cabal Pit or Verdant Catacombs for Bob, and then Knight turn 3. Mana's a little complicated here. I'm just going to play Verdant Catacombs and pass. Hoping that one of the Bobs gets us into lands. What even is mana? I don't know. I don't really understand it myself. We're just going to be playing against like Blue-Red Delver. Grixis Delver. A young Pyromancer. Sure. That's probably just getting decayed. Which I do have the mana for. So Verdant Catacombs need to I need a green source, is what I'm getting at here. And I think we're getting non-basics. Green-white for Savannah is probably acceptable. Savannah lets us cast Abrupt Decay off of Cabal Pit and also cast Night the following turn. I don't know, I think the Jace is a little questionable. I am Dryad Arbor here to hang out. Hi guys, it's me, Dryad Arbor. Like, I can see wanting to have the Planeswalker in the sideboard because, like, the Planeswalkers are so good versus the control-type decks. But, like, Jace is one of the Planeswalkers that is not even on my radar as something that's particularly strong in the format right now. You want a 1/1 that badly? That's interesting. Knight is a 4/4 on current board. White, green, and the last mana. I think playing that's probably important. Even though it runs into another Daze if my opponent has one. Yep, okay. I don't think we super had the luxury of playing around that there. Like, our opponent casting any sort of cantrip and getting it twice off of the Arcanist if I just leave the board empty or play a Bob is pretty darn rough. Yeah, I kind of think the dog in the sideboard should be a collector oof, and I kind of think the Jace should be something that costs 3 mana that's good against control instead. Oh, Barrenmore. Cycling is great. Six cards in graveyard. Can make it 7 cards in graveyard, but then can't activate Cabal Pit. Cabal Pit doesn't kill this, it kills this. Let's find a knight. I find this acceptable. Blue, green, green, blue. So I need to play this Mox Diamond now to play around a Thoughtseize effect, taking the Mox Diamond so that I can't cast the Uro next turn. It's super weird to not just wasteland my opponent into Oblivion here. But the colors matter a lot. We're going to have some interesting decisions when it comes to escape. No, I need all of my colored mana. Like, I definitely need the colored mana for casting the Uro. Like, green, green, blue, blue. Like, with hand, I needed all of those colors. Blue, blue, green, green. And let's see if this resolves. Has to be Force of Will. It is Force of Will. So I need to put 2 more cards in graveyard. I can do that with Wasteland and Verdant Catacombs, and try again next turn. Green, green, blue, blue, mystery. Wastelanding them in their upkeep will be fine. I won't want to fetch with Verdant Catacombs until my turn in all likelihood. Because I don't want, I don't know, my opponent's played Underground Sea already. So I guess it would be fine, but I'm still going to wait for information on my draw. Knight is very good. Very, very good. But Uro is probably just better. It's awkward that the Uro is going to make the Knight worse, but Knight fetching Maze of Ith or equivalent will still just be fine. Green, blue, blue, green. Okay, assuming that Uro makes it around the table, I'm in pretty good shape. My opponent can go land, Lightning Bolt, attack, Lightning Bolt. So, like, there's definitely worlds where the Uro doesn't make it around the table. But Knight plus Oko will be pretty strong. Nice. Okay. So I guess we just start with the Uro attack, see what we draw, and use that to sculpt the rest of the turn. So basically, double bolt on Uro is probably the only way that I lose this game. I can play around that by Okoing the Arcanist and just turning it into an X3 that can't flash back a bolt. If I don't play around Days, which I probably shouldn't because there's just one left, there's one in Exile that was pitched to a Force of Will, I believe. So, let me confirm that, yeah. So if I don't play around Days, I can play both Oko and Knight this turn. So it's a question of which one do I want to play first. Probably play this first. I guess at the same time, though, if I turn this into a 3/3, then block and bolt Uro still kills Uro. Let's hold off on the Oka decision until I see if this knight resolves then. It does. I'm still just going to elk that. Like, it makes it so that they can attack into the Oko, and they could, like, attack Oko and bolt this, but if they do that, like, they're taking so much damage on the backswing. Blast Zone is kind of a cool draw. So this turn probably involves them getting wastelanded twice. So, like, I float a green. I activate this. I sacrifice this. I get a wasteland. I wasteland your red source. Cast Light from the Loam, returning 2 things. I play a wasteland. I wasteland you up to 2 cards in graveyard. I attack with Uro and see what happens. Could Loam? I don't think I need to Loam. It's interesting. But I think I'm just going to take a random draw. We'll put the Blast... Now we'll put the Wasteland into play. I'm fine telegraphing that. So, like, I don't really even care about this Oko too much anymore. So what am I doing with it? I might just be turning Dryad Arbor into a 3/3. If I +2 Dryad Arbor, I could keep Oko. Sorry, if I +2 Oko, I can keep it alive no matter what. I think I'm just going to turn this into a 3/3 and call that good. Yeah, Wasteland in my Cabal Pit is fine. I have access to Life from the Loam and Uro. So dredging this probably grows Knight of the Reliquary by a decent amount. So let's go ahead and dredge that. Yeah, we have a 6/6 Knight now. So Knight and Uro are both lethal attackers. I am the aggro deck now. Yeah, so opponent is just playing to take seconds off my clock. That's what they're doing. That's fine. Alright, so I want Tabernacle, Swords, Plague Engineer, Dog, Lily, in all likelihood. Alright, so I probably don't want my Sylvan Libraries. They are going to cost me life, and that is relatively costly. So let's start by getting rid of those. I will probably trim my good friend Bob. I'll probably trim Green Sun. It doesn't play well against Daze. This is very expensive and plays into Soft Permission. Dryad Arbor get out of my deck, I think. Leovold is maybe a touch sketchy. I need to keep one of these because Connor's previous list had one more card to bring in than I do. So I probably need to keep one of Leovold or Dryad Arbor. Leovold's really hard to cast, but is like fine against a handful of things their deck has going on. I think I'll keep the Leovold. Like, it's good against Arcanist in particular. Like, it blocks it, it makes the cantrips it's flashing back much worse. It gives me value if they, like, attack with it and then bolt it. Yeah, I'll keep this. I don't know what my first turn looks like yet. It definitely involves fetching, though. That much I'm sure of. And this is going to get the basic forest. I need mana stability with this hand. And I think we try leading on Chalice. It plays into a few more things than just leading on one of these two cards would, but it allows me to do a few things. Like, playing the Bob when it's protected a little bit better is just stronger. I expect this to get like a Braided or Brazen Borrower here. If the opponent didn't counter that, they had to have something in their hand to deal with the Chalice. Yep. Wow, not wastelanding there is super interesting. So that makes me think they have like something like an Abrade or another Brazen Borrower for the Chalice. Knight is a 4/4, which plays around soft removal. Oko's okay here. Oko would play into Spell Pierce, which my opponent may be leaving up. I'm going to cast the Knight. It's best against the Wasteland that's on board. Like, if I cast the Oko and then my opponent Wastelands me afterwards for some reason, and I can't play the Knight as a follow-up, it's awkward for me. And if the Knight gets, like, removed, countered, whatever, it'll make the Ooze better, and I'll be hoping to play Ooze when I can grow it out of 3/3 range. Yep, second Brazen Borrower, so we had the read correct. So we're going to be facing down a lot of power in the air, so I think resolving the knight is quite important. And I don't think I have time to play the Chalice as of right now, to play around like a Fatal Push. Because I'm just going to get aggroed out for 3, then 6, then 6, then 6, and die. The K is interesting. It means I can answer one of these uncounterably. But I still think I need to jam the knight this turn, because my opponent needs the 3 mana for Brazen Borrower this turn, but they probably don't need the 3 mana for it after this turn. And that means I'm likely to get wastelanded on their turn. So I can play Knight into Abrupt Decay, but I probably can't play Abrupt Decay into Knight. That is interesting. And makes the Mox Diamond in hand pretty darn good. There's a ton of tension here. Like, because if I take 3 cards back, I shrink Knight down to a 2/2. So I can probably only take 2 cards. Okay, yeah. So let's take Cabal Pit and Misty. Okay, with this light from Loam. Okay, Force, Pitch of Force. That's okay, but awkward for me. Now it means that my knight probably has to get Maze of Ith this turn. And I'll need to hit a land drop off the top in order to cast this Abrupt Decay. I don't think I can take the hit for 6 here. This is a little greedy on my end. Well, maybe greedy is the wrong word. Because, like, it's kind of a risk-adverse play, but it is definitely playing towards a land off the top. Which we got. Okay. So now we pivot, and the question is, do I just Chalice of the Void before I Abrupt Decay and take 3 more damage? I don't think I take any more damage this game if I can avoid it, because, like, Wasteland stops some of my damage. Sorry. Wasteland makes it so that I can no longer prevent the 3 damage that my opponent is dealing a turn via Brazen Borrower. Bitter Blossom. That is definitely interesting. Yep, okay. That's unfortunate. But exactly what I was talking about. Okay, so I can attack my opponent for 8. I can get my Maze of Ith back and stop being dead, which seems like a great starting point. I also might like Mai's triple land here and just kill my opponent. I did not Mai's triple land. Alright, am I just getting back Maze of Ith? Probably need Maze of Ith. Alright, well, I'm attacking for 9. Let's do that. Like, that's happening. Opponent's at 2. So all I need to do is not die next turn. Let's get Forest, Maze of Ith. Okay. White, green. Play Maze of Ith. Pass turn. We die to Lightning Bolt or Wasteland or Chain Lightning. Otherwise we win to their own Bitter Blossom killing them. Unless they have Brazen Borrower for their own Bitter Blossom. Nice. We very narrowly got Delvered there. Like, we would have had a game 3, but margins were a little slim on that one. Pretty happy with how I played that one. There's... Like, if I don't hit the land off the top of the library, then the line I took is super risky. But it was a pretty safe line, and I think it ended up being important. Like, it definitely looks... It's definitely weird. And that would be one of those games where I could go back and, like, do a much longer talk than what I did about what was going on with that hand. I'm keeping this one because most of the draws that are in my deck are pretty good. Like, a land makes this deck pretty... This makes this hand pretty darn good. And, like, since almost half of my deck is land, I think that's strong. Yeah, now I like this hand a lot with that draw. So I have 2 different powerful plays that I can make on next turn. It's going to be Chalice first, I think. We'll see, though. If I don't draw a land, then, like, playing Sylvan Library might be slightly better. If I do draw a land, I think I 100% play Chalice. Especially against what is probably shaping up to be a combo deck. Obviously, it's not 100%, but, like, every time I see Preordained, my rating meter tilts slightly more towards combo. We're okay against Show and Tell for a creature. I put in Knight of the Reliquary, I sacrifice Tropical Island, get Caracas. Are we just, like, straight up playing against High Tide over there? That's 2 natural islands, 1 fetched basic island. Could be High Tide, could be Show and Tell. Probably more likely Show and Tell. like, again, Triple Island is a touch weird. You brought something scarier than I did to class. Alright, Intuition looks for Emrakul, Emrakul, Emrakul. And I died losing all of my permanents. Just going to confirm that that is what they are getting, and then I will concede. Show and Tell is a horrendous matchup for this deck. It is very, very difficult to actually win this one. Because most of the times where they have omniscience, you just can't beat them. And that's kind of how it goes. Connor refers to this one as Sneak and Blow, I believe. So I guess I'll play Thalia, I'll play Rex Sage, I'll probably play Ashiok. Like, the mill part isn't relevant, but like stopping them from searching via intuition is probably pretty good. Connor brings this in, which is interesting to me. Am I Jacing to try to bounce big dumb creatures? I guess. Feels bad, though. Like, we're definitely not prepared for this matchup. So, like, this is a little questionable. These are good. This is, like, I'm probably playing it, but it's weird. So, I probably don't want, like, Loam. That's, like, since they're so heavy on basics, most of the time, like, you can't really Wasteland lock them effectively. So I think that's going to be the first thing that goes. And I don't really have a great Green Sun target for this matchup. Like, Green Sunning for Rex Sage is cool and all, but how often do they actually, like, pass with Omniscience and you actually get to get them? Like, there's some worlds where I keep it for Leovold, but I'm going to, like, be thinking about cutting this. The Bojuka Bog is questionable. The Maze is kind of questionable. Like, both of the cards, like, technically do things in various places. So, like, I think Bojuka Bog, Cabal Pit, Blast Zone are all reasonable lands that could be boarded out. And then, like, Decays are also pretty bad. They can do things against, like, Moons or Arcane Artisans. But, like, obviously the sideboarding here is a train wreck. Like, Loam's out for sure. After that, things get a little weird. I think we have a lot of bad cards. Similarly, like, this card is also, like, abysmally slow. You can get back things that were countered, but I don't know. I think I'm going to cut this. Cut the Bog. Cut a Decay. Obviously a little unsure about sideboarding here. T-Smart, FTW, as well as It's Me, Jay. Thank you very much for following. I hope you are enjoying the content. Sylvan Library is good, but I don't know that it's this good. Alright, what are we doing? So we're putting Dryad Arbor back to the bottom, Green Sunning it back up to the top, playing Knight on turn 2. Does that win this game? So, like, I'm looking to start on Bob, Chalice of the Void. Like, those are the two things that I would like to start on. Like, Thalia is acceptable to start on as well. Like, I would keep turn 2 Knight on 5. But, like, I still have a dead card in this hand, and, like, a lot of the stuff... Like, I have 3 different cards in this hand that I kind of think suck. I'm going to shift this one. This is a good hand. So we keep this, we'll pitch the Jace, and we'll pitch the Knight of the Reliquary. So we'll take a turn 2 Chalice on 1 into Bob, and then we'll try to maybe work towards putting a Chalice on 3 for Show and Tell. I don't want a Chalice on 0 to play around a Lotus Petal because my own Mox Diamonds might be important at some point in this game. Wow, Force Pits are Show and Tell, so they probably have another Show and Tell. That's scary. Crap. We're dead. Well, that's not how I expected to be dead. But I had no ability to play around that this game. At least they don't have the full combo right now. Let's go, Bob. Let's go. I think playing Bob to try to hit another land, Chalice on 1 the following turn, is better than playing the Chalice here. Come on! That is so rude. That is so incredibly rude, Mr. or Miss Costella91. Costola91. Alright, so both of us have been crippled. Like, my opponent lost a land and a lot of tempo to their own cards. But I have 3 lands that aren't untapping. I also get to play towards Abrupt Decay because I left some of them in my deck. So because I left in Decay, I do have outs to this. And like, Back to Basics or Blood Moon is part of the reason why you don't just board out all of your Decays, even though they kind of look like they're terrible in the matchup. Like, they don't interact with the primary game plan, but they interact with secondary post-sideboard game plans. I think I boarded out 1 or 2 Decays. I boarded out 1 Decay, so I have 3 to play towards. I think I run back the same plan as before. Like, I know they don't have Ponder Preordain because they would have just cast them on their turns. Fuck you and your dazes. So rude. I can't afford to play around days. And that is what it is. I'll be relatively operational if I find a fetch land for my basic forest, but like now we're getting into the territory where they can just show and tell again, and that would be bad for me. Talk about an awkward draw. So I lose the out of bouncing a show and tell in creature if I play this. I think I have to play it. I think I have to play it and do Chalice. Stop future cantrips. I don't think they have 1-drops as of right now. But I think if I cast this Thalia, it interacts too awkwardly with my Green Sun and Chalice that I have remaining in hand. Alright, did Thalia stop them comboing off this turn? Because that would be cool. Good job, Thalia. You did a thing. I'll die next turn instead. Oh no, we're very much not good, right? Like, a Conning Wish will just kill us. That also just kills us. I will assume that 3 copies of Emrakul are in the deck. We take 15, we sacrifice 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm not in the position to Oko the Emrakul. I can't. Yeah. Rough, but not unexpected. All right, let's see if we can end up in the positive for this league. We very much expected to lose that match, so that's okay. We have turn 2 Chalice, not turn 3 Knight, turn 3 Wasteland, play Ooze or play Loam. This is a fine hand. It's not necessarily the most impressive in any way. Like, it's not like we get to Chalice on turn 1 or anything like that, but this hand is going to have game against a lot of different Legacy decks. I hope you all are, having a great day. Ha ha! Ha ha! Nice card. So now that I know that I don't need to just play my own Chalice, it's probably correct to Wasteland as Ancient Tomb this turn and play towards Life from the Loam Wasteland as being the primary way that I win this game. I'm on spring break over here. Oh yeah, Life from the Loam Wasteland. Yep. Good times. I'm on spring break, so expect to see a good amount of content from me in the coming week. I posted a rough schedule on Twitter. Probably looking at having 5 or 6 different streams this week. Opponent did not have Sorcerer's Spyglass there, which is bad news for them. Do I even want to play the threat, or do I just want to like guaranteed have my Wasteland back in hand for next turn? For weird Bojuka Bog type reasons. Let's keep weird Bojuka Bog like reasons in mind. 3, 6, 7, 8. I'm just going to discard my Chalice of the Void. I don't see myself playing it this game. Yeah, an opponent's done with me. This is a very, very good matchup for us. We are Wasteland deck. So what do we have to bring in against Eldrazi Post? So Connor recommends Thalia, Plow, Oof, which I don't have, Rex Sage. So I also probably want Ashiok to prevent my opponent from searching with Eye of Ugin on the off chance that we actually get to that stage. I'll consider Jace to bounce big Eldrazi, but that's sort of awkward on my mana. And like, if worse comes to worse, I can play like Dog or Engineer, but I probably don't want to. So I don't want Chalice. I don't want Bojuka Bog. I probably don't want the Scavenging Ooze. Like, that's, relatively speaking, just a 2-2 in this matchup. Decays are good because of opposing Pithing Needles or Sorcerer's Spyglass. Does Leovold actually do anything? Technically, the answer is yes, but super late in the game, and it's awkward on the mana. So, like, picking one of Leovold or Jace is probably fine. I feel like Jace is better. So, Ashiok says spells and abilities your opponent control can't cause their controller to search their library. So, it would be specifically for Eye of Ugin. Not all of them play Candle, but some of them do. So since this one is playing Chalice, it makes it more likely that they're not playing Candle, but they're not necessarily mutually exclusive. Sometimes you accept the awkwardness. Yeah, Grim Monolith is a strong possibility. Golos as a mid-range card is a relatively strong possibility as well. I poured in Swords of Plowshares for Golos, I did. While my opponent is making decisions here, let me just take a moment to say, if you're enjoying my content, please consider supporting the channel in some way. We have a sweet sub Discord where we're going to be trying to brew some new legacy decks. That's our next sub goal, and we're thinking about trying out some of the new cards from Ikoria and seeing if we can bust them. So if you want to get involved with that, please join our sub Discord community. This is a very awkward hand in that, like, I have a Wasteland to disrupt my opponent initially, but I can't play any of the cards that are in my hand otherwise, so this one needs to go back. Yikes. On 6, I probably keep this, although this is very much an awkward hand. We get to take out my opponent's first soul land. We get to Abrupt Decay, a Pithing Needle, or Sorcerer's Spyglass, or Candlestick. We have something to play towards in the very late game. We are going to need help with this hand, though. Sure. I do not particularly mind that with this hand. Yeah, I've been super, super happy with what we've done. Indestructible. I have to fetch here. And I need to get a blue land. So it's either Trop or Underground Sea. I probably don't need black, black. Green, green will make it easier for me to double spell in the future. So let's get to Tropical Island. This probably still names Wasteland here. But I intend on just abrupt decaying that, so the what they name is, relatively speaking, a moot point. Ooh, that's interesting. So this is Mana Disruption. For my opponent, and I don't necessarily need to... This is really weird. So if I Abrupt Decay the Sorcerer's Spyglass this turn, I can Wasteland whatever land that they play. But if I play Thalia, I can't next turn, because Abrupt Decay will cost me 3 mana. Ugh, that's tough. That's so tough. No, I can't. Decay will, if I play Thalia this turn, Decay costs 3 mana next turn, so I can't Decay and waste the following turn. That's the whole crux of this current conversation. I think I have to play Decay in this turn cycle. There's some unlikely lines that involve my opponents getting soul lands and pushing them. Crap. Alright, the game has changed. So they have yet another land that can't be disrupted by Wasteland, so now it doesn't super make sense to get rid of the Sorcerous Spyglass. Instead, I need to stop this Grim Monolith because it produces 3 mana. Robot, thank you very much for your continued support. Very much appreciated. Let me get this updated here. If you are involved with Discord at all, please go ahead and join up the Discord at some point. We'd love to have you. Mox Diamond is pretty darn good. That means I can play Jace the Mind Sculptor this turn. And so the question is, do I play Savannah? Or do I put the Wasteland into play and hope at some point I remove Sorcerous Spyglass to actually start Wastelanding them? Because presumably at some point, they're going to have non-basics that matter. No, I don't. They have Leyline of the Void. I think this is a Brainstorm Jace. Yes. Yes. Okay. So next turn, I'm going to Rex Sage. Did I already play a land this turn? I played Wasteland this turn. Okay. Loam is the worst card here. I'm going to throw it on the bottom, I think. I guess I'm redrawing it no matter what. So I'm going to Rex Sage Leyline and Decay Spyglass at some point. So next turn is 1, 2, 3. This being a tap line is so awkward. So it's 1, 2, 3, Rex Sage Leyline, play tapped Barrymore. The following turn is Decay this, Wasteland them. So I should actually bury both of these cards because I care about both. Boo. Boo, I say. Annihilator Reliquary is unfortunately a 2/2. Mox Diamond's very bad. This is now a scary spot. We need to get a decent amount of power on board to stop Karn Lattice from just obliterating us. So, if opponent just gets bridge, we have an out to that. Opponent gets liquid metal coating. Things are going to get really weird. One way or another, I'm hoping to end the turn walking ballista. Okay. I don't know that I want to Jace bounce the walking ballista. Just throwing that out there. I probably need to wasteland. Preferably I wasteland while also putting a Knight of Reliquary into play. Let's see if we can hit a fetch land with this. Thank you. Alright, Mox Diamond goes back. Cabal Pit goes back. It's interesting against the Ballista, but I think it has to go back. I will Verdant Catacombs, and this gets me a white source, which will be Savannah, I believe. It could be Scrubland. I already have black, so it will be Savannah. Is Savannah already gone? Savannah's already gone. JK, it's Scrubland. Am I more afraid of Eldrazi Temple or Cloud Post? Probably Cloud Post. Oh, right. I forgot about the Sorcerer's Spyglass. That was, like, a huge portion of, like, why I was playing the way that I was. Okay, let's figure out if I messed up now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mana right now, so I'm not necessarily 100% facing down Mycosynth Lattice Lock, but I'm likely to be. So, to put a body on board, I would need to Decay, Thalia, Wasteland. My Thalia will presumably die, and I'm, like, so okay with that. Hey, Red Hot, welcome. I think I'm going to take out the Cloud Post here rather than the Eldrazi Temple, because it threatens to ramp them towards things like Golos that are not Eldrazi. It's definitely slightly awkward for me if they leave this Thalia in play, but I expect it to be dead. Yeah. So this is just like shoot the Thalia, crash in. The game is interesting. The game is very interesting. So this is the point where they go for a liquid metal coating. Tormod's Crypt. Alright. That was a cursed draw right there, if I've ever seen one. Alright, Jace, get me out of this. Or do you? No, I don't want to unsummon this. Some weird lines that plays towards, but I don't think it's correct. Alright, so we're looking to shuffle away both of these life from the Loams now with a fetch land. Yikes. Okay. This Cabal Pit is, like, almost okay, but it very much is not. So in my upkeep, I'm going to need to shuffle away some cards. But my opponent can just pay 4 mana, activate Walking Ballista twice, kill Knight of the Reliquary. And that's what makes this entire turn so awkward. And I don't have another green mana to play both Library and Knight. I am also a land drop away... Well, a land drop in 1 turn away from Lattice Lock. If I cast a Life from the Loam, my opponent cracks Tormod's Crypt. And if I cast a Life from the Loam and they crack Tormod's Crypt, I get Time Walked and I get to do nothing else with my turn. I'm in a bad position. No, they'll just kill their Walking Ballista. They'll kill their Walking Ballista to trade with my Knight. I think. Alright, I am going to go ahead and just make a play. There might be a best play somewhere in there, but I think most of my plays are bad. At least this way, I make them make a decision where they have the ability to, like, make mistakes or play in ways. That is not the time to do that. But okay. Or make plays that, like, allow me to potentially get ahead. So if they do kill my Knight, they don't get to kill my Jace. If I play the Library out, I guarantee lose my Jace based on board. I'll get to see more cards, but, like, the Jace lets me see. Good God! Yikes. So now I'm just drawing Life from the Loam, and then I get Lattice Locked the following turn. I am actually factually dead to that. Opponent did an impressive job around playing around everything that I had that game. Yeah, sad trombone confirmed. I'm going to just take a minute and think about my sideboarding. I think I'm okay with this still. Like, there's some fringe scenarios involving, like, the Walking Ballista that I can play towards by bringing in the Scavenging Ooze or the Leovold. The other thing is that I could consider trimming ever so slightly on some of the graveyard-oriented stuff if my opponent is going to be playing Leylines and somewhat aggressively mulliganing towards them. So, like, the Uro and the Savine's Reclamation are, like, very good cards in their own right, but it may be that just having one fewer card that interacts with the graveyard might be more important. It's gonna return a wasteland though. Let's maybe cut the Uro. Like, I get that the card's very, very, very powerful, but I do sort of feel like I should respect Leyline a bit. Now that, like, I know my opponent is playing towards that. Maybe I'm playing too scared. I don't know about that. I'm going to keep the configuration from my previous game. I feel like a lot of things went wrong last game. Yes, this is good. It's awkward if my opponent can produce an early Karn. But it's real hard to throw back turn 1 Bob. Our hand as is not like necessarily super innately good against what my opponent is doing. But we have a hell of a lot of card draw between 2 Bobs. And like we have an answer to the first body that hits play. These indestructible lands though. That's awkward. I can't knight on 2 because I drew Underground Sea as my land. So basically what I have to say about that is, what's a life total even? We don't care about loaming this game. We'll just find lands by bleeding ourselves to death. Yeah, that's fine. I think we just make a knight here. And I should probably get a land that I don't particularly want. I should probably get forest here for fetching it away. So short of our opponent doing something crazy like casting an All Is Dust way, way, way ahead of curve, I think we've got things taken care of here. Like, we wasteland the Ancient Tomb this turn unless they play a Sorcerer Spyglass. Swords of Plowshares that for 3 mana. Wasteland City. What land did they get? Why is that not? Oh, sorry, it goes directly into play Cloudburst, right? Okay. I can wasteland them twice. So, like, I can float a mana, wasteland you. Savine's Reclamation, wasteland you. But not attack this turn. Actually, do I have 6 mana? 1, 2, 3, 4. No, I don't have 5, 6. I do theoretically have 6 mana, so I could just double spell. Like I could just like Swords to Plowshares the Golos out of the way. Cast a second Knight and try to put them at lethal the following turn. That walks into All Is Dust. Alright, let's assume that I need to Wasteland them, and we'll work on killing them next turn. Let's Wasteland City of Traders. Play land. Cast this card, target Wasteland. Play white, 1, green. Put Wasteland into play. Wasteland, I think the Cloud Post, them taking damage off of Ancient Tomb is totally fine to me. And I think I just passed there. Yet another Wasteland. So I can attack for 10 here, while also Wastelanding my opponent. This natural Wasteland is very strong. So I just need to not die to my own Bobs this game. I do probably need to take Golos out of the way to crash in for almost lethal. I'm not going to have lethal. The Wasteland grows Knight by 1, but Source of Plowshares gives him 3 life. I can't decay that. I do have Flashback on Savine's Reclamation if I so choose. I don't think I so choose. So I think we're going Wasteland, Glimmer Post. Swords to Plowshares this guy. Crash in. Just hope not to die to our own Bobs. It's pretty unlikely that we would take 7. It's possible. This is not the safest possible play. Like, I can play safer by just attacking with the Knight, leaving up Swords to Plowshares so that I can Swords to Plowshares my Knight or Bob if things go, like, super south. Alright, yeah, now I can't die. Yeah, let's just send him in. So how much life was I at the end there? Was I at 7 life? If I was at 7 life, the only way I die is to flipping Jace plus a 3-drop. So I'm very unlikely to actually die. I don't know the numbers because I'm not looking at like the previous screen anymore, but it would have been something like a 1 in 40 hit for Jace, followed by a 1 in, or probably, I don't know, like a 10, maybe like 8 or 9 in 40 after that or something like that. So like we were very, very unlikely to die to our own double Bobs there. So I think what I did is fine. Okay, thoughts on this deck list. I want Jace out. I want Kuneros out, probably. I want Kuneros to be Collector Oof. I want Jace to be something else that costs probably like 3-ish mana that's good against control decks. Like, I don't know, a 4th Oko might be too much, but like another Uro, another 3-mana Planeswalker, like Jace sat on the board and brainstormed for like 4-ish turns, I think, in one game, and like life was still really rough. I don't really think Jace is particularly strong in this format right now. Like I want this guy out. I don't know. Like the first Leovold was not overly impressive in this league. Like I definitely wanted access to it, but he's a little bit hard to cast. So I don't think it is necessary to have access to a second one. When you're a Green Sun deck, like access to the first of an effect is really important, and I don't know that that degree of redundancy is important. Like if I was going to like put another copy of any of the green creatures into the deck, it would be Uro, because milling over it with Life from the Loam is so strong. Not 100% sure about the main deck Teferi either. I don't think I drew it this entire league, so I have no real data to go on as far as like whether or not that's actually good. But yeah, more generally, I think this is a very powerful deck in the format right now. You can tweak the list a little bit in one direction or another, but I think this is a good starting point. I would be happy registering this in like a preliminary or a super event or something like that. Like, that would be totally fine with me. I had something else that I want to say. I'm going to try to remember what it was. Oh, I remember what it was. Let me find it. So here is the rough schedule for the streams for the rest of this week. We just blew through the Loam stream. So later tonight at normal times, I'm going to play some Cephalid Breakfast. This is going to replace what normally would be my time for recording daily D&T for the week. Lord Darkview asked that I do daily D&T with Cephalid Breakfast, but I figured it was like a little bit too far out of the way to be like daily D&T material. So we compromised and decided to just have it be a bonus stream this week. Oh yeah, cat fit. I'll show off that deck list real quick since it's coming up. It's weird. So it is a Cauldron Familiar, Witch's Oven, Orcish Lumberjack, Titania deck that also features this card that I don't remember what it does. Whenever this enters the battlefield or attack, sacrifice another permanent. Whenever you sacrifice a permanent, put a +1/+1 counter on it and draw a card. So that stream should be shenanigans. This was a stream that I gifted to Fine and Andy, who has given the stream a whole bunch of support in various ways over time. And so I wrote him an email and asking if there was anything he wanted to see, and he came up with that deck list. So folks, I hope you enjoy the rest of the day. Hopefully I will see some of you again later tonight for a little bit more Legacy action. And if you're enjoying my content, please consider following, subscribing, or doing a donation deck list to get some sweet things on stream. I'm going to get through probably about half my donation queue this week. I'm going to go ahead and turn you over to a Yama Killer. I don't know what they're playing right now, but regardless, I hope you enjoy it. Cheers, folks.